Yeah, hi everyone. Welcome to Tech from Zero, and today we're gonna discuss about basics of authentication and authorization. Basically, we're gonna talk on how authentication and authorization works in a web application or in real software web development. Uh, we are gonna get some insights, even if it is a short session today. We're gonna have a very good knowledge about how we can approach authentication and authorization techniques in our projects. This methods can be used by developers or any other peers or rookies from developers who's starting up in the colleges and professionals. So I got some slide to show you. As I hope like everyone can see my screen. So as I said, like we're going to talk about the basics of authentication and authorization. So we're going to cover up many topics today. So what is authentication? What is authorization? And what does the flow look like when in real application and web applications? And what are the mistakes which are very common and can be avoided? And what is a clear difference between authentication and authorization? What is a real industry example? And we are going to have some few key points answered for our questions, which are commonly asked. So, as we talk about authentication and authorization, we can always see in many apps nowadays that we use. That is Instagram, Amazon, Google, and UPI apps. UPI apps are very clear example for authentication and authorization. Like who's going to use your application, who's going to access your bank account, and what transactions you can make as a customer. That's one of the greatest examples. So as you can see in the presentation, when you log into an app, how does the system know who you are? And after logging in, and how did it decide what are you actually allowed or see or do it? So we're gonna show you. I'm gonna give you guys some basic ideas by pictures. So first of all, authentication. What is authentication? When we talk about we are authenticating someone, like our fingerprint in our mobile phones. Nowadays, we touch the fingerprint and get our access into the phone. So it's basically authenticating who are you. Is the right person accessing this specific information? That's all about authentication. And imagine like we enter a bank and the security guards ask your ID proof to enter the bank, whether you're a customer or not. That's how we are allowed inside. That verification process is all about authentication. So the common authentication methods that we have in our applications is like username and passwords and OTP passwords, biometrics, and OAuth. So if we talk about basic examples, biometric like fingerprint or face ID, which we have in our iPhones and Android, these are one of the best authentication methods that we use in even in our modern web applications. So username and password is something that we commonly used in any other applications and access services or even in any of our social media applications. So if we talk about any basic idea of how an authentication works in web application, the user actually enters the credentials. Like imagine I'm a user, I'm accessing an application. I want to log into my Facebook. I enter my user email and ID. So in the backend, like when we post it into an API, this is how we actually, it's a sample request. So what you can see over here in the presentation is it's sending email and my password, which I enter in my form in my UI. The user enters his your email and password. This is what it gets sent to the backend from the front end. What the user sees to the backend. So in the back end, it actually evaluates whatever the user enters is matched with what the database has to let the user log in. Oh, so if the user is right, so it's the small code snippet which I got over here, which gonna help you guys. So if the user, first we're gonna get the user dot find one email, right? So as in the previous slide, we saw that a user is sending his email and password. So we're gonna send the email and it checks whether that email is available in the database or not. Only if the email is available, we will check whether the password entered by that specific email connected to that email is valid or not. If both of these cases passes, that's when the user will be able to log in. But the user information between the front end and backend is not stored directly into the database. That's where we use something called as hash password. Like it's a sequence of hash password, like whatever the password in which we entered, it doesn't get stored like just like that in a straightforward manner. My password 123 would be a sequence of characters and numbers stored in the database. So the server actually generates the JWT, what we call as hashed password, that is Java Web Token, which is sent to between front and backend. Just an overview of how actually passing between front end and backend works. So this is how we represent a user logs in, the server checks with the database if it is a valid or not non-valid user. That's where if it is a valid user, we the server actually makes the database to store a generative token, which is already stored in the database and also to the web browser which the user is logged in. So next we are coming into authorization. So we are done with the authentication thing, but who are you is done. What am I allowed to do when the system knows who I am? So that's all authorization is about. What can I do being that user? Being my own account owner, what are the applications that I can use in my application? So the real world example is like an intern cannot access payroll data. The HR can access payroll, and admin can delete users. Similarly, in Facebook, I'm a user can use my account. I cannot use a other's account. I cannot become a Facebook CEO. I can just access my own information. This is called authorization. Authorized to use a specific data. So, in basic the web applications, we have like plain text, like is the token valid and what is the user flow. We talked about tokens, which says who the user is, whether and stores that specific characters and numbers in your browser to authenticate the user is logged in or not, and it has an expiry of while the user is logged in or not. And what is the role of the user, like we may have like a seller, a buyer, a owner. And there are many HTTP status code which is very important for our authentication and authorized techniques. So 401 is like unauthorized, you're not allowed to do this specific thing. Even if I'm the owner of the account, I'm not actually able to do every task. As a like I cannot as I'm a seller, I cannot actually do something stuff on my owner does. And forbidden is something which is not even allowed. This specific user is not even allowed to access the page itself. That's these are the two HTTP codes that we have to keep in mind. So there are many roles, as I said, admin, mentor, student. This is just a specific example that I can give as of now. So we can take an admin who is able to access and manipulate all the data that he can do, and a mentor who can actually access mentable data like let's say courses. He can upload courses and he can delete courses, he can invite students, but he is not able to actually, he is not allowed to do the manipulations in the web application itself. Like by can I being a mentor in Byju's, let's say, we cannot become a Byju's website owner and manipulate the UI. That's the permissions allowed. And as a student, I can just watch the sessions, I can just join the sessions, I cannot upload or edit the content on the website. So these are some of the role based access controls, which is a very important concepts in authorization. RBAC is what we have to learn about in authorization. So if we talk about the complete authentic system flow, the user, as I just glanced through, user logs in, server authenticates, server issues tokens, and user sends token with requests, and server authorizes access. So this is a basic diagram, which you guys can take a screenshot of. It's the best example. A login request is made to the server, then the same user email and password is sent to the database. That's where it checks whether the provided data is valid or not. If the username and password is valid, that's when the server actually generates a JWT token and logs in the user. Once the user is logged in, then the authorization comes in. What is he allowed to do? What is he allowed not to do? So the common mistakes that a developer like notices every day is like storing passwords in plain text. We do not store passwords like the way the user enters in our database. We should always use hashing techniques like JWT tokens that we display, and hashing we have like salting, what we call, that we store in our database. And every token has its own expiry. So that's one of the mistakes which we as a developers see. And uh, and we have to check the front end roles and JWT and refresh token strategies. See, these are the most common mistakes that we see in our production systems. And the main difference, if we quickly go through the difference between them, authentication is like who is like the user is allowed to log in, like what is like who is logging in and what he is allowed to do. Who is logging in is authentication, and what he is allowed to do is authorization. So the real world industry example is again the students, mentors, admin that we talked about. And in the final, that we what we learned today is all about the authentication and authorization is something that the users should definitely learn about. When as a developer, as a programmer, as a professional, we always practice and keep in mind while developing any components in our professional career. And it is always a better practice that we use appropriate hashing techniques, tokens, jailability, whatever the concepts that we learned today, to maintain an efficient and more secure systems. So, just optional QA preparation. As I'm Ajay, I'm a senior software developer and engineer. I face a lot of troubles in terms of authentication authorization. I've taken some of the small question answers. So, can we have authorization without authentication? No, because the system who you are, like deciding who you are is very important, and who what you can do is very important when you're actually accessing an application. So authentication without authorization without authentication is never possible. And is JWT mandatory? No, but we have many tokens techniques, but hashing is one of the things that we have to always keep in mind. And why do tokens expire? Because if we see in browsers, a user's logged in and he goes away, he opens his laptop and he doesn't lock his laptop, and he just goes away. After 15 minutes, the token expires, it logs out automatically, so that no one accesses the same data again and again using his laptop. This is one of the basic, most important thing that we want to expire tokens. Yeah, this was all about we learned about authorization and authentication. I urge all the programmers, students, and professionals to seek more knowledge in authorization and authentication, and let's make the web application structure more secure.